Hi guys, welcome to another video from Overbite Gaming, and today we're going to be talking about Warhammer 40k Fire Warrior. This was released in 2003 on both PlayStation 2 and Microsoft Windows, and is one of the few Warhammer 40k first-person shooters, which is quite surprising. I mean, I can only think of 4 off the top of my head. So you've got this, Bolt Gun, Dark Tide, and the VR title Battle Sister. Those are the only ones I can think of, outside of like mods and conversions and stuff like that, but which is strange to me because Warhammer 40k seems like the perfect thing to have an FPS of. As for this one, it's okay. It is showing its age, to put it mildly. What you're seeing here is the PC version. I did have some issues getting it running. It doesn't seem to like running at high frame rates, so I had to limit the frame rate to 60. Otherwise it would crash the desktop, which is obviously not ideal. Also, I really struggle with the mouse acceleration on it. Having turned it down in-game and turned it down on my mouse, it was still far too sensitive, and as a result it's struggled to aim sometimes. But I mean, those were the really sort of big technical issues I have with it. There are other issues that aren't a result of it. Excuse me. That aren't a result of it being a 21-year-old game. And yeah, let's go into those. So we'll start off with the plot, because the plot is actually pretty interesting, if a bit unrealistic for the Warhammer universe, let's put it that way. So you play Shasla Kais. I'm gonna try tower pronunciations, but the tower pronunciations. And you're trying to rescue your ethereal from an Imperium governor who's kidnapped him. And on the way, you will murder literally thousands of people. But I mean, it's interesting that they would choose to set the game around a fire warrior. I mean, I'm not sure when the tower were like created in game. I don't think it was too far away from this though, so maybe they're using it as a marketing tool to push the Tau. Personally, I don't like the Tau. I have sort of test played against a Tau once with my friend, and they get so much shooting for so little points, it seems quite broken. Hopefully in 10th they're no longer as broken, but I don't play Tau, so I don't know. But even it being a Tau game, it kind of isn't a Tau game. I mean, you play a fire warrior and they're a Tau and you fight, you have Tau weapons, but a lot of the, like, it's almost like the B plot in the game. The A plot is Space Marines and Chaos, which is just how Games Workshop rolls generally. It's always about the Emperor's big lads and the insidious forces of Chaos.
A key for this door.
So yeah, it's an interesting decision that they would do that rather than like lead. I mean, it's the first one that I can think of that was the first-person shooter in the universe, and it's interesting that they would use Tau to do it. Not to mention the Tau weapons all suck. The Imperial weapons are far better. Even the lowly las gun is way better. And I would highly recommend just ditching your Tau weapons as soon as possible, which is made less easy because you only have 2 weapon slots, and one of those always contains a Tau weapon, or at least I couldn't work out how to get rid of it. So that's a bit annoying. And all of the Imperial weapons, as I say, are better. Quick las gun joke. What you call a las gun with an underslung flashlight on it? Twin linked. Boom boom. I kind of like that. I saw that in a Reddit post somewhere. Can't take credit for coming up with it, but it made me chuckle. So you're going through and you're fighting with Imperial weapons and really getting ordered about by Space Marines. You do fight them initially, but pretty, you know, as soon as Chaos pops up, Space Marines are like, well, Tau aren't really a threat, so fuck them. Which is exactly how it is in the lore, to be fair, because there's so few Tau they're not really anything to blip up on the Imperium's radar. If they really wanted to go after the Tau, they would obliterate them. But they don't. They have bigger things to worry about with like Tyranids and Chaos and Orcs and shit like that, whereas Tau are a bit more less likely to start rampaging across the galaxy, aren't they? So the game itself has a fair few problems outside of the ones I mentioned, which are, you know, probably a result of just ongoing technological advancement. The aiming is terrible. You don't really have aim down sights. You only have it as a secondary fire option on a few weapons, primarily sniper rifles. So you can't zoom in for your shots. So you basically fire for hit all the time, and the spread on your shots is ridiculously big. It feels very random in like how quickly you can kill something when you're aiming directly at them, which was an issue given the whole mouse sensitivity thing. So there's that. The audio mixing is atrocious. There'll be explosions and all sorts going on and not get sounds. Others will get too loud sounds, and there'll be alarms that are going off that are too loud and drown everything else out. You'll get multiple voice lines play over each other, and whilst the enemies do have voice lines, sort of generic wandering about voice lines, they repeat them over and over and over again. And normally it doesn't even make sense, because you have like Imperial Guards going, "Oh, the area's clear," and you'll be like just have murdered like 5 of them noisily, like around the corner, and like, "Oh, it's clear. I don't see anything. It's fine." No, and then I pop out and spray like a magazine of ammo at them before like they finally die. Dying itself is a problem, because they continue to block fire even while they go through their lengthy dying animations. So if you've got one behind the other who's shooting at you, you can't really hit him because he's behind cover pretty much, which not fun. Some of the boss fights are interesting, some are broken. There's a boss fight with a Chaos Dreadnought where it is you just circle strafe him. He can't turn fast enough to get his weapons onto you, so you can just shoot him with impunity. And let's address the elephant in the room. You're playing as a Fire Warrior, which kind of is the Tau equivalent of like Astra Militarum or Imperial Guard, right? Maybe a little bit stronger, but that's generally due to their technical ability. They're all about, you know, amount of fire and not getting into close combat, so it's fairly similar. But this one Tau Fire Warrior, who is on his first day as a Fire Warrior, his first mission, this takes place over 24 hours. So, yeah, he murders Space Marines, Imperial Guard, Chaos Space Marines, Obliterators, a Demon Prince, all sorts, including what are they called? Lords of Change, a Lord of Change, as the endgame boss. One of them beaky Zinchi guys, because the Chaos faction you're dealing with are Word Bearers, the most easily hateable Chaos faction. So yay, let's go. Don't mind shooting a Word Bearer or two, trust me on that one. And, you know, I am playing Chaos at the moment. I have World Eaters, who are much more understandable than Word Bearers, because they're just poo. Don't like them. Whereas these guys are just like, yeah, we kind of got bullied by our Primarch into getting, like, the Butcher's Nails put in, and now that makes us want to kill things, like, a lot. So Corma's like, well, you want to kill things a lot. I like killing things a lot. Why don't you come over here and I'll like give you blessings and shit. And I'm like, okay, that helps me kill more things, than the nails make me feel better about that. So cool. So you kind of understand it a little bit. Whereas just Lorgar throwing a hissy fit because his daddy didn't want him worshipping him really is the Word Bearer thing, isn't it? Oh dear. Anyway, much like the game, I am wandering off of the Tau path here for the greater good and all of that nonsense. So yeah, that's kind of the problem. It becomes more about the Imperium and Chaos than it does the Tower. The Tower just like happened to be there and kind of get in the way a little bit. There is a good deal of known voice actors in this game, most of which voice the Imperials. So just letting you know that's where that voice acting talent went. Further cementing the fact that it's still very much in the 40k universe, which is still very much Imperium and Space Marine focused, because obviously they're the poster boys. So why not just make this a Space Marine game? I do not know. I guess they were trying to push the Tower at the time. That is my only supposition there. I don't know if that's correct, but that would make sense to me at least. They could have done an interesting thing if they gave you like a battle suit or something. That would have been cooler. Maybe have it more mechy, that sort of gameplay style. That might have gone well. But like, yeah, the little firewire killing everything is a bit unbelievable. Although apparently, from what I've read, they did produce a book from the Black Library, and in that case is actually sort of a favourite of Khorne. You know, he kind of likes him, so it's like, yeah. I have not read the book, so I don't. I think that's a bit sort of hand graspingly kind of like desperate, because it's kind of like, yeah, but like Tau aren't really a thing with Chaos, are they? They're immune to like the corruption, so they don't really sort of jive together. So I'm not sure why Khorne likes this little fella outside of. I mean, does he like him because he murders like thousands of people, or does he murder thousands of people because Khorne likes it? It's like, yeah, I'm not sure. The game itself is. It's not one of the better first-person shooters. It had the distinct disadvantage of coming out shortly after Halo and not playing anywhere near as well as Halo, so it kind of missed the boat. I think if it came out like maybe before Halo, it might have done better, but it would have still been abandoned as soon as Halo came out. It's one that doesn't... It did... Thinking about it, it did get, because it came out on console, it was probably a better known Warhammer game, certainly at the time. They've done better. Bolt Gun is an excellent example of a first person shooter, a boomer shooter if you like. And, you know, Dark Tide's okay. I mean, I haven't played it since they did the big update. But I mean, that sort of like mob shooter really lessens the appeal of it for me, and especially as like it wants you to play online and all that shit. I'd rather like have a AAA first person shooter, like just go Space Marines, because we know that that's what you want to do. Just go Space Marines, it's fine. Don't do something stupid like you can have like a Jukari based game, although that could be interesting. You know? Always up for a little bit of torture and that. But thinking of entire populations, get into my murder pits, fleshcraft into horrible abominations. I'm talking myself into it though. So yeah, Fire Warrior, it's not a great game. It's interesting. It does show like a darker side of the Space Marines, because most people think the Space Marines being like heroes, but like there's really no heroes in 40k, or at least very few. Certainly no faction should be considered a hero. They're all grotesque in different ways. I mean, okay, like you got the Jukari carving people up and feeding off their pain, and to stave off the Chaos Forces getting their hands on their little souls. But then you've got like the Imperium turning people into, you know, servitors. If you don't know what a servitor is, say if you committed a crime or found guilty and punished by being turned into a servitor, perhaps, where you were lobotomized and cut down, and now all you do all day is open a door. They have, like, people that are made into cyborgs doing that. And because they've been lobotomized, they don't mind it too much. They just like, yeah, door, hey, door. So, it's not very nice, is it? You know, every faction has some messed up shit. I think probably Tau is probably one of the more beneficent factions. I mean, in the fact that, like, Imperium, if it's alien, kill it. Tau are like, well, if you're human, you can come and, like, work for the greater good, and we'll take you as a vassal. It's cool with us, but, like, we will indoctrinate the fuck out of you. Which, you know, not living in the Imperium where life is cheap and starvation is prevalent and you could be made into a door-opening servitor. I mean, maybe that's an appealing option. I don't know. I mean, it's not exactly like the Imperium particularly care for a populace when they find 3 gloppy chaos creatures on a planet and virus bomb the shit out of it, you know? It's just the way they work, really. So, yeah, 40k Firewire. It's an interesting slice of FPS history. It's certainly significant for the Warhammer brand, but it's not that good a game. It's not broken or unplayable. It's just janky, and there are much better options if you want, like, even a contemporary FPS, which is a shame. I would have liked to have seen it pulled off with a bit more panache. Because, I mean, it's 40k first-person shooter. That's a lot to like just in that sentence, at least for me. So, yeah. Anyway, that's me for this week. I'm going back to paying up my World Eater Combat Patrol, who have far too much gold trim for my liking. Bastards. Take it easy, guys, and I'll catch you next time.